Welcome to Prenumeration. So in this video, we will be going over types of numbers, which the three that you see listed out here are the three we need to know. And how to order numbers, like between if it's like a bunch of fractions and decimals, how to order them, place value, patterns, and absolute value. Okay, so that's quite a bit, 5 different things. All right, so we start with these. So cardinal numbers. So cardinal numbers are known as the counting numbers, and they will indicate some type of quantity. Okay, so that's a cardinal number. How much of something, quantity, right? Ordinal numbers will indicate the rank or the order of something in a set. So we'll just put rank in there for us. But something like I was 6th in line, or I got 4th place in a race, something like that. That's going to be an ordinal number. And then we have nominal numbers, and it's some kind of number to identify people. So, like a zip code is probably the most commonly asked one, um, or your social security number or something like that, right? Those would be nominal. Okay. So there's the number stuff we wanted. Okay, now for ordering. All right, so let's look at this. So we have 1/3. This is a kind of question that you'll see. Let's go back to the 11-point font on me. All right, 1/3, 0.40, 1/4, 0.15, 1/6. All right, so when you see something like this, is either you have to make them all fractions or all decimals. Like I tend to think making them all decimals is easier, but you can do it either way. So let's go ahead and go through this. So 1/3 equals 0.33, yeah. 0.40, we don't have to do anything with that one. 1/4 is 0.25. 0.15, don't have to do anything with that one. 1/6. Okay, so now we've got them all in decimal form, and now we just have to order them up, right? And so essentially we would see 0.15 being the lowest one. Yeah. We would see 1/6, which is 0.1667. We would see that one being second. We would see 0.25 third. We would see 0.33 fourth, 0.40 last, right? And then in the answer choices, so the 0.33 would have actually been 1/3, right? The rest of them we have. Okay, and so that's how you would go about solving these. So, so actually your answer would be 0.25 would be, just to get it right here, would be 1/4, 0.33 would be 1/3, and so it would look like that. Okay, and that would be the correct answer. So that's how you go about it. You got to have stuff that we can all compare together. The decimals is definitely better. One of the reasons is if you turn them all into fractions, it still could be like the denominators are different, and then it gets confusing. Here it's much easier to recognize which numbers are lower and higher. Okay, there's that one. In the books, that was ordering numbers. All right, place value. We'll probably draw this one. Take that pen. We'll go black. All right, 1,000,000 and a bunch of zeros. 065. 1,065,000. Okay. And so on this one, they say the 5 is in what column? Right? So they want to know what is that. And so moving right to left, we go ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Right? So right there, that's the ones place. And that's going to be your answer here. right? And this can be different, remembering when there's a decimal going to the right, then it starts off with tenths, hundredths, thousandths. But when we're moving to the left of a decimal, like there is no decimal here, so everything's to the left of a decimal, it goes ones. If they asked us for the 6, it would have been tens. Yeah, and on like that. So that's all we got to do there for place values. Moving to the left, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Moving to the right of the decimal, tenths, like with a THS at the end, hundredths, THS at the end, and so on. All right, there's place value. A lot of this stuff is sometimes it's just stuff that you learned a long time ago, like middle school or high school, and then they're you thought you were never gonna have to know it again, and then here they are asking it. Okay, for this one, I think I like text mode better. Okay, patterns. So, and these is going to be like they're going to give you like a group of numbers, and they all have some pattern as far as how they keep increasing, and then you need to be able to recognize it. So these can definitely be tricky. Okay, so we'll look at 2 examples here. Okay, so let me just write it out and make it bigger. Okay. So there we go. 1, 3, 4, 7, 11. They're going to say, what is the next term going to be? Okay. So on this one, like these are kind of like it seems complicated. It's like, man, like how many different possibilities are there? But there's really only a few types of questions that you can see. Okay. So for this one of the first things you look at is, are they just adding the 2 previous numbers together? And that's what this one is, right? So 1 plus 3, the first 2 numbers. 1 plus 3, these 2 numbers, equal 4, that third number, right? Okay, and then 3 plus 4, the second and third number, equal 7. 4 plus 7 equals that, 11. So what do you think the next number is going to be, right? 11, the last 2 numbers, right? 11 and 7, 18. Okay, so that's the one that you're really looking for, is are they just adding the 2 previous numbers together? Very commonly, that's all you got to do. Like that's a very, very common question. The most likely one to show up is adding 2 numbers together, adding the previous 2 numbers together. Okay. And what's our other one? Okay, so we'll go 4, 8, 24, 96. I mean, the other thing with these, and this is so true for so much of the math stuff, is just take your time with it, right? A lot of times you look at this stuff at first glance, you're like, who knows? Who knows? And so you want to just kind of go through these possibilities, and all the questions in the app go over some of the other most common ones. Okay, so in this one, you see 4, 8, 24, 96. Okay, so it's not the one we did last time, right? The most recent problem there, right? Because it's not 4 plus 8 equals 12, not 24, so they're not just adding them together. And you're like, well, what if maybe they're just multiplying them together, right? 4 times 8 is 32. Okay, that's not it. And then here's the next one that you think, once you've gone through those 2 possibilities. Okay, so I have a 4 and then an 8. So I know 4 times 2 is 8, right? Okay. And then I'm starting with an 8. Okay. 8, and then the next number is 24. So it seemed like the next one would be 8 times 3, yes? Equals 24. Okay, and then I can see, I'm kind of trying to figure this out. I got the 2, and I got the 3. Okay, and so if the next one is times 4, then I'll know what the pattern is, right? They just keep on multiplying by one more each time. Okay, so let's see what they do. Looks like we're starting here. So we did the 4, we did the 8. The next number is 24. And let's make it bigger so everybody can see. Okay, so there's 24. And what we're wondering is if it's going to be times 4. We're really hoping that it is, because otherwise we'd be completely lost. All right, 24 times 4 equals, and if we do the math there, it does actually equal 96. Okay, and so now we have our pattern, right? It was times 2, times 3, times 4. Okay, so we start off with, we've got a 96 here, and they want to know what the next term is going to be, right? And so we're going to say it's times 5. Right, because we went times 2, times 3, times 4, just one more, times 5. 96 times 5 is 480, and that's going to be the next term. Okay, so that can be trickier to see. And that would be a pretty hard, one of the harder questions you could get in terms of patterns. But that's what you're kind of looking at, is just taking your time, looking at how do they get to them. So, it's usually either they added the 2 previous numbers together, they multiplied the 2 previous numbers together, or there's some sort of a pattern of like they multiply by 2 and then 3 and then 4, or they added by 2 and then 3 and then 4. It's usually something like that. That's what you're looking for. So these can definitely be tricky, as I said. You can get it right. Taking your time is the biggest thing. And then looking for the patterns that we were just talking about. If you do that, I think you're going to have a good chance to get it right. Alrighty. And then finally we have absolute value. Absolute value is definitely easier with the pen because of the absolute value sign. Okay. So what we need to know with absolute value is equations need to be split into 2 equations and then solved. All right, so we have something like this. 2x plus 4 equals 10. Okay, and what does x equal? Okay, and so the 2 equations that we want are that same one right there, and just solve that, and then another one where it equals negative 10, right? You just take the same answer and make it negative. Okay, so if we were solving for the one on the left first, we'd subtract 4 from both sides, get 2x, 10 minus 4 is 6, x is going to be 3, divided just by 2 on each side, get rid of that 2 on the left. Okay, so there's one of my answers. Okay, then on this one, I would subtract 4 from each side. (2x). Remember that negative 10 minus 4 is negative 14. And x, negative 7. Okay, and that's all there is to it, right? So that's really all you need to know. One thing that you want to remember, or if you didn't know this, something to know, is that it can't, where's my eraser? Okay, so if you saw something like, instead of that, which is more straightforward absolute value question, if you saw this, it's a negative sign. So if it was absolute value of 2x plus 4 equals negative 10, anytime the absolute value equals a negative, we end up with empty set. Okay, right? Don't try to solve it. You can't do it, right? Because we already have the answer being negative. We can't do anything with that second equation, and so that's just a little trick question. Anything where the answer On the right side is negative. That leads us to empty set. Okay, so that gets us to the end of this video.